Good evening, everybody, and welcome back again to another Workbench Wednesday. It feels like it's been a long time since we've been together around the Workbench. It's been probably about a month now, but a very busy month with lots of other things going on at Lionel, and so we've been focused on that. We're going to try and get back into a little bit of modeling tonight and just actually pick up where we left off on the last episode, doing some ballasting and ground cover and finishing our little scene here with that. So if you missed the first part, we'll be reviewing a good bit. If you started there and have been waiting for us to come back and finish the job, well, we're actually going to finish a job for once here on Workbench Wednesday instead of starting something and then walking away from it for 6 months, because that's what modelers do. But before we get started on that, well, some more people join in. We'll just go through a couple of housekeeping things here for the business at large. We are nearing the end of the catalog order window. This week marks the end of open orders for the catalogs. We'll start collecting dealer orders on March 1st. So please, if you're looking at anything pre-order out of the Lionel Big Book or American Flyer catalog, contact your Lionel dealer and get your orders in this week. Then once we get all those orders, in about 2 weeks after that, we'll start putting the orders into the factory once we've calculated everything out and figured out what we need to order and move forward with. And then about 2 more weeks after that, we've been promised we'll start getting schedules back from the factories with some shipping dates on them for you. So for those wondering when things from the new catalog will ship, we should have a lot more specifics for you in about 4 to 5 weeks. But if you're looking for orders, again, order window closes at the end of this week. We just put up a new special edition on LionelStore.com as well. It'll be the first of an annual series of locomotives that we'll be doing through the online and our local retail store here. So you might want to check that one out as well if you want to pick up a nice limited run piece. But we do look forward to that. We'll be already hard at work on the next catalog, which will be coming out towards the middle of the year, early second half of the year. So you have that to look forward to down the road. But production will be in full swing very shortly. We've got a lot of other things going on. If you caught Dave's program on Monday night, or last Monday, I guess it was, he reviewed some of the new locomotives from the Volume 2 catalog. He showed the S1, the Sharks, quite a number of things on there that people have been asking about. So if you missed it, go back and find it on YouTube or Facebook and watch Demos with Dave. His episode 8 will cover a lot of those things. And then if you didn't catch it last night, on Train World TV with our buddies over at Train World and Trainland in New York, Megan and Megan were on doing a great program on some of our fun licensed trains and things of that nature. So that'll be out there on the Train World sites as well if you want to check that one out. If you didn't get a chance to see it, they all did a great job and lots of great feedback from folks on that for new product ideas and things we could do for our licensed trains and sets. So we're definitely looking at all those suggestions and taking them on. All right, well, I think I've babbled on long enough about stuff that's not modeling related. So I've got Chloe helping me here tonight, holding the camera and zooming in and out, and she'll be helping me with questions as well that pertain to the Workbench project. So feel free to type one in and ask. And let's go ahead and get back started again on our project. So we started off with a very complicated here, very elaborate 1 foot by 1 foot diorama. This is going to be a small fertilizer plant. Last month we focused on ballasting track. So we fastened down the track and put on the first layer of ballast. That's had more than enough time to dry now. So for anybody wondering how well it sticks, you can see it's not going anywhere here. The ballast is actually quite solid. Probably a better demonstration is we have some stuck on the edge here, and you can see even with the hobby knife it takes some effort to cut through that and get it off of there. So we'll be doing the same thing tonight here over the rest of the scene to create the rest of the parking lot and the area around our building and gluing our building down as well. But this is the first result here. We'll probably put another layer of some more stone and dirt over the track as well to finish up that scenery. I haven't cleaned all the track yet. You can probably see some shiny rail here, some of the darker rail here. Truth be told, on a siding like this, the rail probably wouldn't be very shiny, but for electrical contact, when we do run trains, we want to keep our track clean. And it's really easy. Just take your fingernail. You can see that the paint and the glue that we've put on just comes right up. So if you have track after you do this work, You'll just clean your rails like that, and you're good to go. I may actually, though, by the time this is all said and done, come back and put another coat of paint on that just to dull down that shine, because we're at the end of the siding, but you get the idea. All right, so next step is going to be to bring in our building, and the building has already been built, so we don't have to go through all of that. That'll be sitting right in there. We've done a rough outline on the base where that will sit, so we knew where to stop doing the ballast for the track and where everything else would go. This was all based off of a hopper car, so we got our spacing right and everything else. And now we're going to get started on ground cover. I'm going to take that off for just a second. If I was going to put a light in this building, which in this case I'm not, I'd pre-drill a hole through here so we could run our wiring and our light inside. But this one doesn't need a light, so we're going to keep it simple. I'm going to start with some basic white glue using the extra strong stuff as it's glued on there nice and tight. Because I've got to cover a large area, I just actually want to open the whole thing here. Shoot, that must be glued shut. There we go. Yeah, plenty of glue up in there. All right, so since we know we're going to cover a larger area, it's going to be messy here. Let's spread a little bit of this around. Try and wipe some of that up so I don't have the same problem the next time I go to open it. And now we'll work it into place.
It's like finger painting.
I'm just going to come right up to and a little over the stones we've already put down so we can blend that in. This is also going to hold down the building itself. So.
Yes, Dave, we do have a lot of ground to cover in this episode.
Oh boy. Dave's chiming in with the corny puns. I deserve no less. I've done plenty to him over the years. Dave is probably just excited to see somebody else getting their hands actually dirty on a Lionel project.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to work this right up to the edge of our platform. I've got some chunky spots in here for some reason.
Your finger painting.
There was a book written once a long time ago called Everything I Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. Well, finger painting sort of comes to mind there with that. Yeah. All right. That should do it. Now, I've completely obliterated all of my lines to locate this building, but fortunately I still have my hopper hatch here, and that's really the important thing. So I'm going to use that as my reference and center this hopper chute up on that, and then set the track into place, building into place. And we'll just let that sit, and as that glue dries, that'll hold up plenty strong. Grab a paper towel here. All right, the next step is going to be to add our ground cover, and we can use just about anything for this. For this parking lot, I'm going to use some Woodland Scenics gravel. This is a fine gravel. I also have some accent color powder. We'll probably mix a little bit of that in there. But you can find similar materials from other manufacturers and in any color that your heart desires. And yes, you can also go outside and get real dirt and natural products as well.
We've done that.
If you have the right shades in your area. Since I didn't want to model Carolina clay for the parking lot, I'm going with a different route. And use this gravel as the base cover for most of it. So I'm just going to begin, I'll start here where you can probably see a little bit better, sifting lightly over top of the whole scene. And I'm not too worried if I get a perfectly even application or if I spill it on the roof of the building or anything like that, because there's no glue there, so it will brush right off. The glue that we've put down as our base coat is just that. It's just a base coat. It's going to do a lot of sticking and hold the bottom layer of this gravel in place, but it won't necessarily wick up through all of it. We're going to be putting on some more glue to anchor everything down fully before we're all said and done. As you can see, I'm just sort of sifting lightly out of the bag. You could use a fine sifter for this as well if you wanted to do that. Since I have the ability to turn this around here a little bit, I can do it on myself. I'm going to do that. You want to come all the way around the building and make sure we get enough up against the foundation that we hide any cracks and seams. That's one of the biggest things you can do on your layout to improve the realism, is make sure you get the dirt or your ground cover around the base of your building so they don't look like they're floating. Just anchoring them into the ground instead of having them sitting on top of it makes a big difference in the believability of your
That was so satisfying to watch.
All right, and oops, one more little area I almost forgot. I'm going to get a little bit back here along the tracks as well, or along the back of that building. There's a little bit of a hole. And might even just go ahead and, for the fun of it here, let's bury the track a little bit. This is an old siding. Probably have some bits of stones in there. All right, now I'm going to set that aside. Try not to knock it over and spill it all over my layout until I can tape it up and seal it up for future use. You can see even in a small bag like this, you get plenty of materials to cover a decent area.
Now for the powder.
Now we'll add some highlight powders. And this can be used to do a variety of things. In this case, we're going to use it to help show some wear and marks in the road. Brush off some of our base here. With this. Start with an area here towards the back. See if I like this powder or not. It's really a powder.
It's chunky.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm really liking that material. So we're going to switch up and go to something a little different just to get some variety in the color.
You're welcome.
Just let it fall.
Oh, probably want them to fall on the floor.
Just to get some variety in the color here, I've got a darker shade of stone, and we'll mix that in a little bit. Be a little more precise here with this one. Now, I'm putting in some more subtle pathways and marks and some low spots and things here in the gravel. You can get as precise as you want with this. You can also, once this is all dry, it's very possible, very doable, come back through with a little bit of pigments, thin washes, paints, powders, chalks, the same things we've been using to weather our structures and other models, and you can weather your ground cover and change the shades of ground cover as well. You don't have to just change the color of the material itself. It is a paintable, stainable, dyeable material, at least in most cases.
Someone asked what the building is and like what the manufacturer is?
This is a kit by, I have to remember here, I want to say this is Blair Line. It's an HO scale kit. It's their fertilizer mill, and it's a Craftsman kit. It's made of thin basswood and cardstock, and it was actually a pretty simple build. Okay, so we've got our basic ground cover around. So sort of do a 360 on this for myself to see if there's any thin spots. There might be some here in the middle, but I think actually it looks pretty good. So with that down, the next step is going to be to now lock everything in place. Actually, before I do that and introduce more mess into the scene, I am going to come in and get some stones out from where we don't want them. Here around the foundation, off things like our loading grate there, around the doors, underneath the loading chute.
Someone asked if you can use spray adhesive over the top of the parking lot to help keep all of the loose gravel glued.
You could use spray adhesive. I haven't done that. I think it's a messier alternative, honestly. And once we put this next coat down, it's going to be locked in tighter than I think spray adhesive would do for you. The next thing that we're going to do, you can see here that my platform's coming up a little bit, so we'll weigh that down once we get some glue on here. I'll show you a trick for that. The next step we're going to do is first wet everything with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. I've got 70% here, probably 93% would work a little better, but for what we're doing, the 70 will be just fine. And we're just going to start dripping this on over the whole scene. I'm using a little pipette. I'm trying to keep things from making too many bubbles and splashes. Just want a nice even application. And what this is going to do is allow the glue we put on next to sink in and not bead up. So this is an important step. And this is just the stuff you can get at any pharmacy or grocery store, or at least you could before 2020. Now you may have to look a little harder, but it's out there. Now, as I mentioned the last time we did this with the ballast, you will see a little bit of a color shift in the material as you get it wet and as we apply glue. That's normal. Some of that will go back as it dries, but it usually does end up a little bit darker than you started with. Something to think about as you plan your colors of the materials that you buy. Now this you can also put on with a small spray mister, and it goes a little bit faster. But I don't like doing that around the buildings especially, because I don't want to get alcohol all over the roof of this building, which is a paper product and would probably not react as well. But we're almost done now anyhow. All right, that's good coverage. And now the last step in the process is some more glue. This is a diluted white glue. This is about 50-50 between white glue and water. And now that we've watered or pre-soaked everything, this will come in the same way. You can see how runny it is. It just sort of drips right out. And we're going to put a nice heavy layer of this all the way around. The only secret here right now, the only thing I'm trying to avoid, you can see there in the back, see here where I didn't get any alcohol underneath it, see how the glue just sits there and puddles up like that? Whereas here, where we've got alcohol, it just sort of creeps right in, or will here in a minute. But there's definitely a difference there where you have the stone, or where you have everything pre-soaked and where you don't. If you miss a spot like that, no big deal. We come through and give it a little wash.
Stinky. I don't like rubbing alcohol.
Alright, we're just going to come around the edge here. I'm going to spend a little more attention on the edges of this, since that's where we'll get some wear and tear on this seam. And down to the bottom of my glue here. I may have to mix up a little bit more. As I mentioned the last time I did this, there is no such thing as too much glue. It'll dry clear, and it'll dry solid, and the more you can put down, the better. While I mix up a little bit more glue, I'm going to weigh down this. You can see just from the moisture, this paper is curling up a little bit. So we're going to cheat and use our handy weight and just press that right on there and let that sit down in.
I'm going to show them how to mix the glue.
Since we have to mix some glue, we're going to mix some more glue. And I'll just mix this right here in the container. You can buy this white glue at craft stores and hardware stores by the gallon. And as you're building larger layouts, I highly recommend doing that. And then you can refill your smaller bottles to work with as you need to. But that's a much more economical way to get the job done.
Ed said, I've made some cool loads using this method, learned from you, and it works great. Alcohol is the key. Thank you for teaching the tips that makes us better.
Well, good. Thank you, Ed, for that. Yeah, we did do a very similar trick to this not long before we did the first of the ground cover with a coal load. And another one of those projects that works in any scale. And same idea. Goes on real easy. The trick to making it all work is eliminating that capillary action. Now I've got my glass of ice water here. Let's see if we can do this without making a mess.
Nope.
Nope. Nope. I'm going to do it off here so I don't saturate the layout.
Just use your pipette.
Just use my pipette, she says. That's why I have Chloe here. Before I do that.
Yeah, that would be kind of disgusting.
Now I won't be drinking out of it.
Oh, wow.
Normally, of course, I just walk over to the bathroom sink, but that doesn't make for good Facebook television. How about other questions, Chloe, as I'm...
Someone said, I once did this for coal loads and a few steam engines. It took around a week to dry and it still flakes off sometimes. I think I might have over-diluted the glue.
You can do that. I usually go about 50-50 on the glue. You can go thinner, you can go a little thicker. Anything much thicker and it doesn't spread as evenly. So you want to keep it somewhere around 50-50. But anything more diluted is fine. You just have to put on more coats as you go. Just repeat this process. All right, this is probably actually going to be about
40-60.
40-60 glue over water. And give it a good shake. Now, some people will tell you to put some drops of dishwashing detergent or hand soap, or you can even put a few drops of alcohol in here as well, and that will also help with that debonding of the glue. But since we've already soaked this in alcohol, it's really not necessary. And now we're getting some good glue out of there. And right now I'm just sort of targeting any area that I see that's not already white with glue.
You might have to get underneath the weight.
Yep, I will have to go into it. Put that back up. There. By the way, you can do this without putting the building down initially as well, and then just try and set it into place and come back at this in that manner as well. But for tonight, I thought it was easiest to just go with everything in one spot. I'm going to try and turn this around again. Now it's going to be a little trickier because it's messier. And get the back side. And here again, my pen. I moved something so it got lost under the bench. Put a little along the back, a little here on this pile that we created. Just come right along the back of the track. And just to show that you can always come back and do a second coat, that's what we're going to do here on this track area. So we mixed in a little bit of other stone and whatnot at the beginning over top. We're just going to come right back and do the same thing here. Put a little bead of that, a little bead down the center, a little bit in here. And we are all set. Okay, now we're probably not going to get to it tonight because this is very glued and it will take a while for this to set. But I want to talk a little bit about completing the scene and adding some final details and what you can do to finish everything off. But actually, as I'm seeing all this glue puddled up here, one more thought's crossed my mind. And that is when you do see an area where you feel like, okay, I really probably overdid it on the glue there, you can always come through with a little bit more stone and a staple. And lay it in there, and that will actually help suck up some of that extra moisture.
When you dilute the glue with water and add your alcohol in that mixture, should you still place down the alcohol before the glue? And what's your glue to water to alcohol mix ratio?
Good questions. Typically, if you do that, they say you don't need to put the alcohol down first, but I usually do. If you are putting it in, what most people will do is really only a couple of drops are needed in a bottle, a standard glue bottle this size. You know, maybe a single dropper full of that alcohol would probably do the job. And depending on the projects that you're doing, for some things where you want a slightly tackier glue or you don't have the ability to spread it with alcohol, like making trees, for example, where you're working with an armature and your space is a little bit more restrictive, that's sufficient to help keep it all in place and keep it from beading up. But for a larger area like this, I find that it's just easier and more effective using the alcohol straight to the surface, as we saw here.
Right there.
Okay, we're getting a lot of the puddles sucked back in here, which is good. Get some more around our
And a
base
little
of that sense.
crack right there, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm hopeful.
Okay. When it comes to adding little details, you can start this anytime. But one of the things we're going to start off with, for example, we did some weeds. So I'm going to take a patch of weeds here that were previously made, and we'll work those in right now while it's wet. This is something that can go in on the damp surface. How did I make these weeds? Someone's going to ask. These are made from static grass. You can buy little tufts like this already pre-made in the hobby shop, but I make my own. If you have a static grass applicator, this is really easy to do. You buy the grass flock, get some wax paper, put drops of glue on it, charge the paper with the one end of the flocking tool and sprinkle your static grass on the other end, and you make your own grass tufts any size or shape you want. Then once they've been made up like this, you can simply peel them off and lay them in place where you want them on your scenery. Let the glue soak them in. If you're going with dry scenery, just put some white glue on the bottom and they'll attach right in. And away you go. Instant grass coverage. You can make them a fairly large chunk like this, or you can go with smaller pieces and plant them however you like. I'll put another little piece over here closer to the building. So that's a quick and easy way to add some variety and color to your ground cover. Other things we can do, when this is a little bit more dry, we'll come around and add some more details around the building to bring it to life. We'll have, for example, we'll put a propane tank in here. That'll need some weathering and some decals before it goes in. Working on some bollard posts to go around that to protect it, and so forth. I'm just setting these in roughly right now. To anchor these finally, what I'll use is Scenic Accents glue. This is also by Woodland Scenics. You can also use Aleene's tacky glue. This is a common one for a variety of crafts. And it's similar to white glue, especially the Aleene's, but a little bit thicker and tackier. The Scenic Accents glue is specially designed so that you can put put scenic details in place, but then it's also removable. So if you change your mind later on, you can go in and take those details back out without any harm or damage. And it dries clear, so you have a nice way to anchor figures and vehicles and things like that. That's permanent enough for a display, but not forever permanent to prevent you from doing damage to your details if you want to change things up later on. So that's the type of adhesives that I would use to complete this scene. But with the glue as wet as it is right now, mixing in this would not be very effective. It'll dilute it too much. So you want to do those things after everything's dry. Come back, add your figures, add your vehicles, all the little things that really help bring these scenes to life. And that may be a subject for another episode down the road as we look at different details and whatnot. But I hope this gives you an idea of how quickly and easily you can change the look of your model railroad. It doesn't cost a lot. It doesn't take a long time. It's not rocket science. You don't need to be an artist to do this. If I can pull it off, anybody can. But just putting that first basic coat of ground cover on your layout, transforming it from a bare sheet of plywood or styrofoam into a finished world makes all the difference in how your models will look and how your layout looks, and the oohs and ahs that you'll get from people as they come over to see your trains. So give it a try if you haven't tried it yet, and see what happens. And there's no reason that with some techniques like this you can't anchor it down. And once it's glued in place like this, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff blowing away or working its way onto your track and getting your trains dirty, or worse yet, getting inside your motors and so forth. So a little bit of glue and you'll be all set. If you ever do change your mind, you say, oh, I really didn't like that, with some scraping, you can peel all this stuff right back up. Get yourself a putty knife and scrape it away, or just put another coat on top and keep on going. But you'll be surprised once you try this for the first time how easy it is and how satisfied you can be with your results. Okay, we got some questions.
Someone said, what was the name of the tool to make the grass?
It's a static grass applicator or a static flock applicator. There are two ways you can get this. You can go to a hobby shop and order one and buy one. There are several companies that make them. I don't have mine handy, either of mine handy. The other option is you can make one yourself. And I'll probably cover that in an upcoming episode of Workbench Wednesday. If you have access to a Harbor Freight and a kitchen supply store, you can build one of these things that works just as effectively as the $100 store-bought models for about $8 and change. And they're not too hard to make. You just need a electronic bug zapper and a colander and a couple pieces of wire and a clip, and you're good to go. So we'll cover that. We will cover MacGyvering your own static grass applicator in a future episode. It's not something I want to do with a giant puddle of water around me, since it involves electricity and soldering and so forth. But it will be a fun episode, and I have the materials here to build another one, and we'll definitely do that. And then we'll also zap Chloe with it, and you can see what
I don't want to get tased by a flock applicator thing.
Okay, we won't tase Chloe. We won't tase Chloe. But yes, we'll definitely cover that in the future. If you don't feel like making one yourself, you can get a variety of great ones. Woodland Scenics has one. Knock has one. There are a number of companies out there that make them. And basically what it is a tool that applies a static charge as you shake on this fine flock material. So that as you sprinkle it on, it has a charge to it and it will stand upright instead of just laying down flat. And that's what gives you these little tufts and this higher appearance. The grass flock itself, also available in your hobby shop from a variety of manufacturers and every color you can think of and different lengths and so forth.
Even purple?
Yes, I think even purple. And you can do some fun stuff with this too. You can put flowers on it. You can get really detailed with it, and become a hobby unto itself. We'll definitely cover some more of those scenery things down the road, because it's a lot of fun and something to try on your own. But that's how you can get this. You can also apply the grass directly to the scenery. You don't have to just do it on the strip like this. You can take that applicator, and as the grass is wet, your terrain is wet, now would be the perfect time to actually come in and sprinkle some of that in here. And give it some fuzz.
Someone said they could use fried mosquitoes for dead grass.
Fried mosquitoes for dead grass? Okay. Haven't tried that method yet. Not really anxious to, but definitely, if you can think of it, it can be done. So yes, we'll definitely cover static grass and ground foam and other things like that down the road. The diorama we did here tonight was an HO scale module, but the same techniques apply whether you're in Z or N scale or O or G. The only thing you're going to want to change up probably is the size of the ballast that you use, etc. For HO, typically a small or a medium works well. For O, medium to large will work well. But as you walk around in nature, you're going to notice very quickly that all rocks aren't the same size. All trees aren't the same size. Grass is different height from one person's yard to the next, to the field out back. So don't get yourself too penned in when you're doing scenery by, well, this is an O scale product or this is an HO product. Nature comes in all sizes, and that's one of the fun things about doing scenery is you can experiment a little bit, think outside the box, and use materials that might be designed for something out of your scale, but just in a different way, and imagine that for your layout. So
yeah, get the cheapest thing you can find.
Or get the cheapest thing you can find, and don't rule out going into your own backyard and digging around in the dirt a little bit, sift it down, and sometimes real dirt actually makes the best dirt. But with so many products easily available in bag form for tonight's demonstration, we went to the hobby shop. Do you have any other questions out there, Chloe?
Nope.
All right, well, I think things are going to continue to dry here, but rather than sit and watch glue dry for the next 24 hours, we'll go ahead and sign off for tonight. Again, thank you all for joining. We'll be back with this program again in 2 weeks. We'll try and get back on a 2-week schedule here now, with Dave doing demos with Dave on opposite Mondays. So look for Dave next Monday with a whole bunch of new features. Not sure yet what he's going to cover this go round, but I'm sure he'll think of something. We've got lots of things coming through the engineering department right now, so no shortage of good things to talk about. Talk to your dealers, get your orders in from Lionel Volume 1 catalog. That order window closes March 1st. Some dealers will start ending probably later this week so they can get their tabulations together. So take a look at the catalog again and see what you might want to pre-order, if anything, and let us know. And we'll be seeing you down the track. Until next time, everybody, thank you as always. Stay safe and well, and keep motivated.
Bye bye.